This episode is brought to you by Marqeta. When it comes to your payments provider, you can't afford to compromise. Marqeta's modern payment solutions flex with your business without the trade-offs. Stable and agile, secure and innovative, scalable and configurable. If they say you can't have it all, don't believe them. Your business demands more. Choose a payments provider that delivers more. Choose Marqeta. Visit marqeta.com/Spotify to learn more.
Big news. Sephora is now on Uber Eats. So if you find yourself facing a beauty emergency, like needing a last-minute gift, or you're just out of your favorite mascara, again, don't panic. We got you. Order now and get $10 off on Sephora orders of $50 or more on the Uber Eats app. Order now. Offer ends October 30th. One order per customer. Additional terms apply. See app for availability. Delivery fees may apply.
Welcome to the All Things Nintendo podcast. I'm Brian Shea, and this is a weekly podcast to discuss all the biggest news and games from the world of Nintendo. At long last, I am finally ready to deliver my Pokémon Legends ZA review, so we will get to that at the tail end of the show. But we actually have a good deal of news to get to during this episode as well. At the end of the show, I will be joined by a guest, my very good friend and colleague Kyle Hilliard, to talk about another new release. But to start this episode off, it's just me. And as I indicated, we have a bunch of news to get to this week, including a Kirby Air Riders Nintendo Direct that we are going to dig right into at the end of this news segment, as well as several big multi-platform games coming to Switch 2. I will be breaking all that down before Kyle joins me at the tail end of the show. Also, it's been somewhat rare, before we really get into things, talk about a little bit of Game Informer news here. It's been somewhat rare that Game Informer has a cover story that actually directly applies and is able to be covered on this podcast. But this very week, we revealed our next cover story. And by the way, this is very, very early. So if you haven't gotten your Outer Worlds 2 issue in the mail quite yet, don't worry, because it's still shipping out. They're still in the mail system. Unfortunately, given the past several years of kind of like defunding of the USPS, it does take a little while to get issues out to subscribers. But they are in the mail system, and we have revealed our cover for this upcoming issue well in advance. Like, we have not even finished the issue completely. Like, we're not that issue is not even sent to the printers yet. The Outer Worlds 2 issue that we announced, which I have an advanced copy. I've not gotten my subscription copy either, but an advanced copy that I have, it is still coming out to people right now. So don't worry if you haven't gotten that one. You're like listening to this and you subscribe to Game Informer and you're like, what the heck? You've already announced the next cover story. I haven't even gotten the Outer Worlds 2. This was just a super early announcement. We're getting into the habit of revealing covers early and earlier, because that means that we can actually get the issues out to people who want to get them, because it takes longer. If you subscribe, it takes a longer amount of time for the issues to get to you once you start your subscription. So really what we're doing is we're just giving people as much time as possible to get their orders in, their subscription started. So that way there's not as big of a delay for when that issue will come in. We're going to do that whenever we are able to. Sometimes, based on the cover story, we may not be able to reveal too much early. But this next issue after the Outer Worlds 2 issue, it's Dragon Quest VII Reimagined, which is a very exciting game. I don't know if you've seen it. It's kind of like toys brought to life art style, but the Dragon Quest art style is Akira Toriyama, the man behind the Dragon Ball manga and anime. So it's definitively his art style, but just in a completely new way. And it's absolutely gorgeous. The cover is one of my favorites that we've done since we've come back at Game Informer. And there's really not much I can say outside of the fact that it was Wes, who's been on this podcast several times, and Alex, who's been on this show a couple of times. They traveled out to Tokyo to play more than an hour and a half and talk to the team behind the game. That issue does not even launch for another week and a half, but you can bet that once it does, I will have Wes on the show to give all of his thoughts on the game itself. So that's something to look forward to. That's something very exciting to talk about in the near future. Like I said, we have a bunch of news to get to on this episode of All Things Nintendo before we talk about all kinds of reviews and impressions and all kinds of new releases that we're going to get to in the second segment of this episode. But before we jump into the first news topics of this show, you know what we're going to do. We're going to remind you that you are listening to the All Things Nintendo podcast. This show arrives in your podcast feeds completely free each and every week, brought to you by the fine folks who support me on Patreon. Without people like them, this show would not exist. You can join the Patreon page for as little as $3 a month. That gets you access to the community Discord, which lets you hang out with fellow listeners of the show. But there are also $5 and $10 tiers, and those get you early and ad-free episodes plus shout-outs at the end of every show. Just go to patreon.com and search All Things Nintendo. I'm going to level with you. I'm really not exaggerating when I say that without the Patreon supporters of this podcast, this show would have ended a long time ago. So if you're able to help out and, join the Patreon team, it really does go a long way for helping me continue to do this podcast week after week. And like I said, the community Discord continues to grow week over week, and we're having a really great time over there. So if you want to join a good group of like-minded Nintendo fans, there are worse places, I'll say. But let's get into some of the Nintendo news that we've got before we get into the multi-platform stuff. So first up, Pikmin 4 is getting a free title update seemingly out of nowhere. Like Pikmin 4, I want to say that was like 2023, maybe even 2022. And so it's been a while since we've gotten anything out of Pikmin 4. And actually, let me look that up. When did Pikmin 4 come out? Because I feel like it might even be longer than that. 2023. Okay, so I was right. And this update adds Decor Pikmin, which is actually something that's already in Pikmin Bloom, the mobile game. And they're basically just Pikmin that wear some kind of like decorative outfit or like decorative element. It almost reminds me of like in Pokemon Go, which is interesting because Pikmin Bloom was also created by Niantic, the studio that created Pokemon Go back in 2016. And in the time since, in the lead up to the sale to Scopely, Niantic was adding all of these different like hats and sunglasses and different variants of Pokemon. So Decor Pikmin seem to me, as somebody who's never played Pikmin Bloom, it seems like it's kind of like that type of situation where it's like special decorative variants, like with different cosmetics that you can collect in game. And you can find them now, or once this comes out in Pikmin 4, and then you can transfer them to Pikmin Bloom if you so choose. So there's actually going to be some connectivity there between the Switch game and the mobile game. And then this update's also adding a photo mode and then 2 new difficulties. There's relaxed mode and fierce mode. So that update is going to hit free of charge sometime in November. So I don't know if that's going to be the thing that finally pushes me over the edge to put a significant amount of time into a Pikmin game, especially during this time of year when there's just a bajillion games coming out, which we're going to get into here in a second. Like there are so many games. Like I thought that September and October were going to be the end of the busy season here for this holiday season. Not the case, it turns out. Next up, we are getting perhaps the most appropriate Nintendo Switch Online Game Edition of 2025. Halloween, you may know, is next week, and Nintendo is taking full advantage of that by adding the original Luigi's Mansion to Nintendo Switch Online plus expansion packs GameCube library. So that means that if you have the Switch 2 and you have that Nintendo Switch Online plus expansion pack, you now will have the ability to get access to all 3 Luigi's Mansion games on the console. So we already had Luigi's Mansion 3, which I love. I reviewed that for Game Informer, and I came away pleasantly surprised. Luigi's Mansion 2 HD, which came out, I think, 2 years ago. Or maybe last year. I don't know. Time is so weird right now, guys. Like it is, I was thinking of like, something happened in 2019. I forget what I was even thinking about. And I was like, oh yeah, that was like not that long ago. And then I'm like, wait, that was 6 years ago. I swear, since 2020, it's just been just like a blink of an eye. Um, and then, of course, this is going to add Luigi's Mansion 1 to the GameCube collection. So you'll have the entire trilogy. And I will be honest that Luigi's Mansion is not my favorite series that Nintendo's done. I think that the first one was kind of like the reason that I didn't pick up a GameCube right away. When the GameCube was like Nintendo's flagship system, I was just like, I don't know, that's not really like the game that is going to drive me to buy a new Nintendo console. Like I was waiting for a Mario game, I was waiting for a Zelda game, and of course we got those eventually, but they're still good games. Like I said, Luigi's Mansion 3 I thought was really good. It's still my favorite in the series, but I'm glad that they're adding this because I'm also a completionist, which is why I'm constantly beating the drum of having Nintendo add the missing Zelda games like Twilight Princess, Link Between Worlds. I want those on Switch 2 really bad, but hey, starting October 30th, we'll at least have the entire Luigi's Mansion series on Switch 2. October 30th is when you can look forward to that. So again, you would need a Switch 2 and the Nintendo Switch Online Plus expansion pack in order to take advantage of that. Otherwise, you can buy 2 HD and 3 on the eShop, just standard. The next thing, I mean, it's really going to be a theme here for the remainder of this episode, or at least this news segment. And it's that the year is like the remainder of the year anyway, is really starting to take shape. And we've had this super, like, completely loaded slate of games, I would say through the majority of 2025, but in particular the fall season. I think that September and October have been particularly just jam-packed full of games. Like this is among the most sustained busy stretches that I've experienced in my career. I've had some times where it's like I have a billion things on my plate and I feel like I'm underwater and like playing catch up for a while, but like I haven't felt like I'm underwater so much as like I'm treading water and like kind of having my head just above the water line. But like it's been like that for a really long time. And because September and October have been so busy, I was thinking like, all right, well, November and December are going to slow down. And not really the case. So we already knew like Mina the Hollower was delayed. We knew Terminator 2D No Fate was delayed. And we still don't have any news on Mina. I'm assuming it's going to be either November or December because I said it wasn't going to be a significant delay. However, Terminator 2D No Fate, we knew it was coming this year. And then during IGN FanFest, we got a new trailer showing, I believe the date is new in November. It's coming out. And you can actually change scenes from the movie. And like they showed like the ability to take the minigun to the police at the Cyberdyne headquarters. In that scene, that iconic scene where Arnold Schwarzenegger is holding the minigun. Or looks like there's a way that Sarah Connor might be able to die at the hands of the T-1000. So, I mean, it continues to look fantastic. And as someone who has recently rewatched Terminator 1 and 2, I do think that Terminator 2, like I think a lot of people maybe who didn't see it in its heyday think that like, oh, it's overrated. It's not really that good. But it absolutely, I watched it a few months ago, or maybe just like 2 months ago, completely earns its reputation as one of the greatest action movies of all time. So I'm actually really excited to kind of relive the story through a retro 2D style shooter. And, it's just a really cool concept of being able to change some of the story elements in it as well. And as it turns out, it is coming out on Switch and every other major platform on November 26th. And another thing we've been waiting for a really long time that's coming out right around that time is Marvel Cosmic Invasion. We've been waiting to learn when this game is coming out for such a long time. And Dotemu, who is the publisher, kept just reiterating it's coming out sometime in 2025, sometime in 2025. And here we are, nearly at the end of 2025. And coming into this week, we still didn't have a release date. And, I don't know about you, but I was starting to worry that it was going to not make that 2025 release date. But, they finally revealed that it has a release date now. It is coming out, not sooner than I thought, but it's coming out in 2025. And they also gave us the final 2 playable characters on at least the launch roster. And I gotta say, they're pretty good ones. So first up, we have Tony Stark as Invincible Iron Man, and we have Phoenix joining the roster. And in addition to that, we also learned when we're going to finally be able to play this game, because it is coming to Switch and every other major platform on December 1st. And if you're wondering why I'm so excited about this, in addition to just me being a giant Marvel fan, this is the same developer and publisher that did TMNT Shredder's Revenge. So that in itself is enough to get me extremely excited about another game they're doing, let alone one in the same genre. Plus, I've actually spent a good deal of time playing it in preview builds, and everything is pointing towards this being a really, really good side-scrolling brawler. And, once you add the Marvel license on top of that pedigree, like, I'm just completely sold on this. This is instantly one of my most anticipated games for the rest of the year. So if you're like me, you should mark your calendar for December 1st. And if you're not familiar with it, it is kind of like a retro style 2D brawler. You actually choose 2 characters. It's kind of like a tag team. So it has a little bit of that Marvel versus Capcom influence in there as well. But you're just going through different like Marvel stages, fighting different enemies, bosses. Like, it's very cool to see like the different deep cuts they're doing. I do enjoy that they're not just doing like straight up like, all right, here's Iron Man, Thor, Hulk, Hawkeye, Black Widow. Like, it's like, no, instead of Hulk, we're getting She-Hulk. Instead of Thor, we're getting Beta Ray Bill. But we're also getting some of the mainstays like Captain America, Wolverine, Spider-Man, Venom, Tony Stark. They're all in there, which is super cool. And I'm assuming they're going to expand it pretty substantially for DLC, but I don't think they've announced anything to that effect. But it would be wild if they didn't, because that is such a home run. I feel like just waiting to be hit out of the park is just, let's just expand this roster substantially through DLC. So December 1st is when you can expect that. And you know what else is coming to Switch 2 in December? Assassin's Creed Shadows. And the good news here is that it's only $60 instead of the $70 price tag that we've kind of been conditioned to get used to at this point. And the other good news is it's actually cross progression. So if you have a Ubisoft Connect account, you should be able to carry over your save from like PS5 or Xbox or PC. Like I was playing it on PS5 and then I kind of fell off of it, but like having it on the go is a whole new ball game. So I might be able to get back into this and just transfer my save file. Also, if you care about this, I don't really care about this, but the menus will support touchscreen if you want to do that. And I've got to say, I've kind of moved on from Assassin's Creed Shadows. I was enjoying what I played of it. I probably put a good 15 hours or so into it and had a good time with it. I don't know. It just doesn't hit me the same way something like Ghost of Yotei does, which is tough because I have them both on PS5. So the 1-to-1 comparison is pretty, I don't know. I think that it doesn't do Assassin's Creed Shadows any favors. However, it's still a very good game, and I would recommend everybody check it out if you like kind of like an open world action game. If you want to explore feudal Japan, you control one character, Yasuke, who is a samurai, and you control Naoe, who is a ninja or a shinobi. So if you want to do like the action combat style, you can control Yasuke for most of the game. Or if you want to do like the stealth kind of sneaking around in the shadows, doing like quiet assassinations, then Naoe is the person you want to play as there. But it's coming to Switch 2 on December 2nd. So that means that the first week of December now has on Switch 2 Marvel Cosmic Invasion, Assassin's Creed Shadows, and Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. So, I mean, I guess what I'm going to say is it's going to be a real smoke 'em if you've got 'em situation for your PTO hours if you want to take some time off and get through those games. If you've been holding out on playing Assassin's Creed Shadows, or if you want to check out Metroid and Marvel Cosmic Invasions, I mean, that seems like a good week to take some PTO hours if you have any remaining after all the amazing games we've gotten so far.
Wish you could become a morning person? You know, the type up before the sun, early morning runs, first one to the office with donuts and a smile. How do they do it? easy with the new Galaxy Watch 8. Sleep tracking and personalized insights from Samsung Health help you improve so you can wake up to a whole new you. One who, dare I say it, skips the snooze? It's possible. Train your sleep with Galaxy Watch 8. Learn more at Samsung.com. Requires compatible Samsung Galaxy phone, Samsung Health app, and Samsung account.
There is one game that is not coming out this year, thank goodness. And that is Elden Ring Tarnished Edition. So when I had Kleinfeld from Controller Club, when he came on the show, he had mentioned that when he went to PAX West, he was less than impressed by the performance of Elden Ring Tarnished Edition on Switch 2. And I was immediately, upon hearing this, saying they should delay it, since there is no world in which this is a game that should be rushed out if there are performance issues. This is, Elden Ring, Dark Souls, Bloodborne, Sekiro. The Souls-like games, the ones from Software in particular, are so precision-based and so, you've got to get every little aspect of timing down to perfection levels if you want to be successful in those games. And having a game that is either stuttering or dropping frames or just not being able to deliver a smooth experience, that is enough to derail the entire experience of playing that game. So Bandai Namco has to delay this game, and it turns out they agree, because the official Elden Ring X account posted, quote, "While development on Elden Ring Tarnished Edition continues wholeheartedly towards release, we have decided to move the launch to 2026 to allow time for performance adjustments. We apologize to players looking forward to the game, and thank you for your patience and support." And honestly, I think this is the best possible decision they could have made. We already saw that Gearbox decided to delay Borderlands 4 on Switch 2 for seemingly less egregious performance issues, at least according to Klein when he was on here. He was like, yeah, Borderlands 4 didn't run great, but Elden Ring was really bad. So I think Bandai Namco is making the right decision here. That also means that Switch 2 players might be getting 2 From Software games in 2026, because the Duskbloods is also on the horizon. So if you are a Switch 2 owner who also happens to be a Souls-like fan, you might have a lot of fun stuff to look forward to in the next year. So speaking of stuff that is coming in 2026, Bethesda hosted a Fallout Day stream where they showed off some news related to things like a PC Collector's Edition for a Fallout New Vegas Anniversary Edition, some updates on Fallout 76, Fallout Shelter. But there was one announcement that does apply to this podcast, and I'm excited for it. And that is, in 2026, Bethesda is going to be celebrating the 10-year anniversary of Fallout 4. Wild that it's already 10 years old. I'm going to be real honest with you. That makes me feel like that gif of Matt Damon at the end of Saving Private Ryan, where he turns into the old man. That's how I feel hearing that Fallout 4 is going to be 10 years old next year. But it makes sense. The maths there. So they're going to be releasing the Fallout 4 Anniversary Edition, which will include all 6 official add-ons, plus more than 100 pieces of content from the community's creation tools over the last 10 years. And the good news here is it's coming to Switch 2. And I don't know if I've said this on the show recently anyway, but I've talked about how Fallout 3 was the game that ultimately drove me to write my very first video game review back in 2008. Speaking of feeling very old, I've been doing this for 17 years. And so Fallout 3, an extremely important game to me. And Fallout 4 was also very fun, I thought. And I understand why people don't like Fallout 4 as much. It didn't really move the franchise forward or the genre forward or anything. And I think that it was just a little underwhelming for people hoping for a true next gen experience, as it was at that point, Fallout game. But I believe it was still my game of the year for 2016 because I love the Fallout formula so much. And now's a great time for it because the Fallout TV show on Amazon is about to come out in December. So it's smart that they would get some games out there. And then it seemed like they also indicated that there's going to be more Fallout games that they're not ready to talk about yet. But yeah, Fallout 4 Anniversary Edition is coming in 2026 to all platforms, including Nintendo Switch 2. So something to be pretty excited about, especially if you've never played Fallout 4. I do think it is worth checking out, especially if you like Bethesda games, you know. To close out this news segment before we take our only break of this episode, I want to run down some of the news out of the Kirby Air Riders Direct that Masahiro Sakurai hosted this week. Excuse me, I needed a drink there. My mouth is very dry when I'm doing these solo podcasts. So I'm not going to go into depth of the full hour of this Nintendo Direct, which is wild. I legitimately, I think I told this story on the show when Tim Geddes was on here, and we were talking about the last Nintendo Direct, the full Nintendo Direct that happened back in September, where they said, "Hey, there's another Nintendo Direct coming for Kirby Air Riders," and this was after the 45-minute Direct that happened, and we were doing a watch party, and Nintendo, because I was out in Paris at the time to watch or to play Pokemon Legends ZA, and they had a watch party that Nintendo put together in the hotel that we were all staying in, and they said, hey, like there's going to be a new Kirby Air Riders Direct that's coming out as we get closer to launch. And I said, what else is there to show? And one of the people who works at the company looked over at me and he goes, you'd be surprised. And when I saw it was an hour, I was like, I guess I will be surprised, because there's actually plenty of things to highlight here, even though I'm not going to go into the full line by line recap here. I will say, Masahiro Sakurai, still one of the most charming people in all of video game development. He even started with kind of a, wait, the presentation is how long? Which once I saw it was an hour was pretty much exactly what I said when I first fired it up. And, you know, he even said like, yeah, like, I know what you're thinking. Didn't you cover everything in the first thing, the first Direct? And he even said like, yeah, I agree. We did cover most of it, but there was still stuff to go. And he started by saying that he thought that if they skipped the kind of super casual top ride mode, which is where you race around from the top down perspective, and it first appeared in the GameCube version, Kirby Air Ride. He was like, yeah, like I thought fans wouldn't mind too much. And then he goes on to say that when they decided that, they kind of said, yeah, I don't think fans would mind too much. But then we did it anyway. So that was the first thing covered in this Direct. And it's the same basic concept with the same controls as the main Air Riders mode, actually. So it's from the top-down perspective. And I kind of like this. I didn't play the original Air Ride, but this is giving you kind of like that retro experience of like, if you played like the NES, like top-down or isometric racing games, this is what that reminds me of. And on GameCube, it was only local because there was no online for that game, because it was on GameCube. And so it used to be that it zoomed out and you saw the entire stage from the top down perspective. This one, since there is local play or online play, when you're playing online, everyone has their own screen. So you can actually zoom in and pull back and view the entire racetrack if you want, or you can zoom in and get extra detail. Sakurai was also saying like you'll have a better view of it because the TVs are way bigger now than they were back then. There's several courses to choose from in this, and the courses aren't nearly as narrow as they were in Air Ride. He said that you can play up to 8 players online or locally with up to 4 players. But he was also like, I think you should probably aim for having around 4 players, like basically saying that's the sweet spot. But he was like, well, but I'm not going to stop you if you want to play with 8 players. And the mode also has exclusive items, and it's geared towards a more casual audience if you're not really looking for like a hardcore in-depth racing experience. This is something that's built for like pick up and play or like less experienced players. So Air Ride, Top Ride, and City Trial are like the 3 main modes. They're all playable online, and Sakurai actually brought them all together with another new mode called Road Trip, which you're driving through a big open course with different challenges. And as you go, these challenges pop up and you have to clear them. And the challenges can take place out, like they take elements from all 3 of those aforementioned modes. So you might have to like when the challenge pops up, you might have to beat a top ride race, for example. And then the next one might be one of the City Trials mini games, or you might have to beat a rival in like the standard air ride race modes. And as you go, you also come across shops, which lets you purchase power-ups for your run. And you can also buy machines, so the vehicles, they're called machines. And Sakurai actually recommends you go with those and like prioritize those, because if you lose one of these challenges, your machine might get destroyed and you'll need a new one to swap to. And if you don't, it seems like it's game over. So there are also time attack and free run modes, plus one race type where you need to swap machines every lap. So it's like a real like strategic thing. Like you have to choose which machines are best for which lap. And then you can also go into city trial with teams. So there's team battle mode in there, which honestly, it sounds super fun. Because you can, like, when you're voting on which mini game or stadium they call them to play in, you can all kind of like conspire as a team to choose the mini games you want to play as. And we also learned about some of the new mini games. And if you want to just play mini games, by the way, there's a stadium mode where you can just choose which one you want to play directly. So kind of a Mario Party-esque in that regard, which I really, really like. I'm so glad they did that, because I'm sure there's going to be ones that emerge as like my favorite and ones that I just am like, not really a fan of that. So the stadiums seem like they are going to be one of the highlights of this package. So I'm very much looking forward to that. And Sakurai then ran down how online lobbies work and the rankings and some of the copy abilities. And I'm not going to go into the whole list, but it does seem like, in true Sakurai fashion, he is putting so much thought into this and, finding cool ways to differentiate Kirby Air Riders from Mario Kart, which is funny because he did make that joke in the first Nintendo Direct about Kirby Air Riders, about how, like, wait a second, isn't this just like Mario Kart? So he's very self-aware, and I really appreciate that about him, especially when in my interviews with other developers, whether it's, developers behind Halo or developers behind the Zelda franchise. When I ask about, like, what are your inspirations, they usually don't like to specify like inspirations or like compare themselves to other games from other developers. It's kind of rare that a developer at a big company, especially Nintendo, will reference something else. But I know it's still a Nintendo product, but it's interesting that he's kind of being self-referential and kind of self-deprecating in that way. We also got 3 new courses for Air Ride mode revealed, and then Sakurai talked about how every single course from the GameCube game, Kirby Air Ride, is unlockable in this game, which means there are a total, including like the new ones, 18 courses in the game. And then, Sakurai ran down some of the new characters, items, and machines. I will be honest, I like Kirby, and I've played a bunch of Kirby games, but some of these characters are pretty deep cuts, so I'm not going to really go into them here. But I was interested in the fact that the machines are all customizable with like a bunch of cosmetic stuff that you can use the in-game currency to purchase, like decals or effects or different like cosmetic items that you can use customization, especially when you consider how customizable something like Sonic Racing Cross Worlds was. This doesn't seem like it's quite that customizable. You can customize your license, which is neat. Like there's different decals you can do for like your online player card, essentially. And then characters are also customizable with things like hats and glasses and stuff. And then in true Sakurai fashion, very much like Super Smash Brothers, you can choose how often songs appear in city trial mode. And there's also a music player. So if you want to listen to any of the music, you can do that. And then Sakurai also announced that the music is going to be coming to the Nintendo Music app. And speaking of Smash Brothers, Sakurai and his team also made a boss character that isn't playable. And but you are going to have to battle him. So that's something that was very prevalent in Smash Brothers, of these non-playable boss characters. And the one that they showed off is Robo DDD, which is basically a transformer. It's a machine version of King DDD that can transform between a giant boss version of the character that can attack and shoot beams at you and swing his hammer around, and a machine that can drive around, and it all takes place in an arena, and you can join in with other players to attack it in the arena and defeat it. And then Sakurai did say that there would be several other versus bosses that you'll face in the game, and they're all like machine versions or robot versions of, or at least they're large versions of enemies from the Kirby series. And then finally, we got 3 new amiibo figures, and the last time we got Kirby and Bandana Waddle Dee. And now we have Meta Knight with Shadow Star, King DDD with Tank Star, and Chef Kawasaki with Hop Star. And you can actually take the amiibos out of any of the Air Riders amiibos and swap them with the different machines. So they do come with both the character and the machine that they're paired with. But man, it's worth noting, they are $50 each. $50. So if you want all 5, that's $250, which I've got to say, I'm out. That prices me out. I think they're cool. I like that you can swap them out, but no, thank you. That's just too much. I love Street Fighter. I have the Ryu and Ken amiibos. I did not pick up the Street Fighter 6 ones because I think those are $35 each. When I got into amiibos, they were like, what, $13, $14 a pop. And I get that like there's different economic conditions. We've covered that on this podcast a couple of times now. But $50 a pop, even with the increased functionality of like being able to take them out of their machines and put them in any other machines that you have, it's cool. But $50 is just so much. I don't know. Let me know like in the comments if you think that's pushing it a little bit too much. Just $50 sounds like a lot, and then when you say it's $250 for the entire collection, that's almost the price of a new console. Like, what are we doing here? I don't know. It's all optional, but it feels gross. So Sakurai concluded the stream by saying that actually the team is not planning any DLC, so everything's going to be included on day one. He said there's going to be a day one patch that's going to unlock some of the stuff, but so if you buy like the physical version, you're going to have to download the day one patch. But I've got to say, it's somewhat disappointing given that, Sakurai is known for doing incredible work through DLC on like the Smash Brothers series. So I am a little bit bummed there, but it's also extremely refreshing because, we live in an age where games come out and it's like, all right, well, if you want the best experience, you've got to wait several months, if not more than a year. We just talked about Pikmin 4 getting a free update years after it came out. So it is kind of nice that I'm not going to have FOMO if I go and play this game, play like several hours of it, and then down the road, an amazing mode comes out. I mean, that's always a possibility, but he's saying it's not in the plans as of now. So I am kind of glad for that. I'm going to be able to just jump right in and have the full experience, which is awesome. But he also said he's not planning on making this an ongoing series. So reading between the lines there, this might actually be the last Kirby Air Ride game we see for a long while. This does seem like a passion project for Sakurai, so it makes sense, I have a feeling that he wants to either get back to Smash Brothers or he wants to jump to other things. And, it took us, 2 decades to get 2+ decades to get a whole new Kirby Air Ride game. So it makes sense that he would just be like, yeah, don't expect a Kirby Air Riders 2 or anything like that, or Kirby Air Riders 3, however they want to number that given the naming conventions they have. But yeah, so he's basically like, well, I hope you enjoy this because this is pretty much all you're getting for a long time. So with that, it did close out. And I will say, I was extremely skeptical when they announced that there was this hour-long direct after the last one went 45 minutes and they went into so much into depth. And even more so when they said that this one was going to be even longer. But I actually came out of this one way more excited than I did the first one. I thought that it looked good last time, but I don't know. It just was like, okay, yeah, I wish we were getting another type of game, but this is fun. This looks cool. Now I probably went from like a 6.5 on the out of 10 on like my hype rating to maybe an 8. Like this is looking like a lot of fun. Top Ride mode looks super cool. I like the online capabilities. The Sakurai puts so much attention and care into his game, and they're always so mechanically sound that I can't wait to jump into this now. You've got to respect Masahiro Sakurai in everything that he does and the way he presents things. He's so much more candid than a lot of developers are. So I understand why they just let him sit in front of a camera and talk. I mean, it's not like he's a Nintendo employee anymore. So, he's a contractor. He operates under his own freelance company, Sora. So, it's cool that he can do things a little bit differently and have the full support of the Nintendo marketing arm behind him, because I think they know what they have in him and they want to just let him do his thing. And I'm really happy that they're doing that. And I really think that the last Kirby Air Riders Direct and this Kirby Air Riders Direct are Masahiro Sakurai in like his element. But Kirby Air Riders coming to Nintendo Switch 2 on November 20th. But they also have said that if you'd like to check it out before then, you can take part in the global test ride betas, which are going to happen on November 8th and 9th, and then November 15th and 16th. And you just need a Nintendo Switch Online subscription, or you can do the free trial to take part in that, the beta tests. Whew, that was a good deal of news. So I guess you can understand why I just did it solo. It was already a lot to chew on, and I think that if we were going back and forth with all these, this would be an extremely long episode. And I am quite busy at work and in my personal life right now. So just wanted to get through the news, and we'll have a guest in the next one, the next segment. So we're going to get to that segment right now. I'm going to take a quick break, and when I get back, I will be joined by Game Informer's Kyle Hilliard as we discuss 3 new releases, including my final review of Pokémon Legends ZA. We will be right back.
It's the Smucker's Uncrustables podcast with your host, Uncrustables. Okay, today's guest is rough around the edges. Please welcome Crust.
Thanks for having me.
Today's topic, he's round with soft pillowy bread.
Hey.
Filled with delicious PB&J.
Are you talking about yourself?
And you can take him anywhere.
Why'd you invite?
And we are out of time.
Are you really cutting me off?
Uncrustables are the best part of the sandwich. Sorry, Crust.
We are back, and as I mentioned last week, we still are not on the pre-launch distribution list for review games from Nintendo, even though we've been back since March. So, while I was able to give my impressions of the first 4 hours last week, I wanted to hold off on giving my full review of Pokémon Legends ZA until this week. Well, that time has come, as I've put in over 30 hours into Pokémon Legends ZA, and I'm ready to talk all about my experience. And also, I'm no longer alone in this episode. My dear friend and coworker, Game Informer's own Kyle Hilliard is here, and he also has a game to chat about, Plants vs. Zombies Replanted. Kyle, how are you doing?
Doing good. Thanks for having me. Yeah.
Yeah. So we were actually recording this the morning after I recorded the last segment, even though I did my best to wear the same shirts to have continuity. Just a little peek behind the majestic podcasting curtain there.
And I'm also wearing the same shirt from yesterday, even though.
Oh, good.
For continuity.
Maintaining the illusion. That's commitment to it. Yeah. But in the time since I signed off on the solo segment, there's actually been 2 quick pieces of news here. There was a new Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment trailer that Nintendo put on YouTube out of nowhere. And it's basically just, I think it's called the Unite Against Ganon trailer. Or Unite Against Ganondorf trailer. I don't know. I clicked out of it, but it's like a 2-minute on the dot trailer of just like the people in Hyrule back in the day, because the Hyrule Warrior Age of Imprisonment takes place back in like the past part of Tears of the Kingdom. And it's just basically like Rauru and Zelda being like, yeah, Ganondorf, pretty bad. We should probably stop him. And then
Not a good guy.
Like, yeah. So
can I ask you a potentially Tears of the Kingdom kind of spoilery question about that trailer? I haven't watched it.
Yes.
Is Link in that trailer?
I did not see him.
Okay. I don't want Link to be in that game. I think that would be pretty bold. And and so far they have he has not shown up, and I'm impressed by that.
They had like that one thing where it's like if you pre-order, you get this thing that's like in the shape of Link, didn't they?
I don't know this. I might have missed this. I mean, that's okay. I'm all right with like just a skin or like a DLC thing. But in terms of the narrative structure of that game, I hope Link does not appear.
Yeah, that would be weird if it's supposed to be a canonical thing that takes place in the past. But no, it's just
I mean, the thing that was so disappointing about Age of Calamity is that it ultimately isn't canon. And it it was really what ended up making it one of the most disappointing like Zelda narrative things ever for me. I was really bummed about I don't know, maybe I shouldn't complain about the story of a spin-off, but like when Breath of the Wild is so precious, right? And it's like, and they set themselves up for such a cool sort of prequel, and then they kind of just like sort of just totally crap the bed in the last like couple hours of that game. I don't know. I was really bummed out about that game. So I'm hoping that this kind of, sticks to the sort of dour nature of what a prequel to those kinds of games can be,
I'm currently watching what appears to be, I mean, it's not even I froze it on a random frame in the trailer, and it looks like Princess Zelda is throwing a flying knee towards a Gerudo warrior.
Yes.
I don't know. And
like
the
it.
Gerudo warrior has a shield up blocking it. It looks like they're engaged in combat, but it might be a team up move. So I'm going to click play and watch what happens here.
Let's see. Moment of truth.
Okay. So wait. Okay. So Zelda mounted on the shield, and then the Gerudo warrior threw her up into the air because they were emphasizing like teammate moves.
Good. That
So
sounds
that's cool.
great. I'm into that.
So yeah, but there is.
I'm excited for that game. Despite being my disappointments with Age of Calamity were not like gameplay or visuals or tone. Like it was just that like the ending, the narrative of the end just was like really bummed me out. But like I've played all those. I enjoy those games. They're fun.
Yeah, I played through the first one, and then I think your disappointment in Age of Calamity like deterred me from ever playing it because I was like, oh, I'm really excited about like what happened 100 years in the past before Breath of the Wild, and then it turned out not to be the case.
Yeah, I can tell you about it sometime if you want, if it's not.
Well, I had this grand plan this year to like replay that entire series in the lead up to this game, where I was itching to replay Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, especially on Switch 2. So I started Breath of the Wild. I got about 25 or 30 hours into it, and then like all of the video games in the world released, so I have not gone back to it.
Every single one, yeah.
Every single video game. This is a surprisingly busy year, and as I talked about last segment, it's only getting busier, especially if you're a Switch 2 owner. That last week of November leading into the first week of December is going to be a surprisingly busy stretch, but we're really close to Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment. Like it's coming out in 2 weeks. Yeah, 2 weeks. Right. November 6th is when that comes out. But the trailer, it's fine. They confirmed Ganondorf's in the game, which
would have been surprised if he wasn't.
Yeah. I think they confirmed that in the very first trailer. But it's Unite Against the Demon King is the name of that trailer.
Got it.
But yeah, I'm quite excited for that game. I hope it doesn't do some weird like multi-timeline nonsense the way Age of Calamity seemed to have.
Fingers crossed. Yeah.
We also got another quick news story that I want to touch on. The headline of this email that I got, the subject line is Mario joins the 99th Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade for the 40th anniversary of Super Mario Brothers. Not confusing at all. That's almost as confusing as Super Mario Advance 4 : Super Mario Brothers 3.
Or Super Mario World 2 : Yoshi's Island. Or Wario Land : Super Mario Land 3.
Yeah, as great as Nintendo is, maybe some workshopping. Maybe, we have a headline help channel on Slack. I think they might be able to utilize that. But yeah, November 27th, Thanksgiving. Do you have any memories associated with the Thanksgiving Day Parade? I know my family, like my mom loves it, so we would always like sit down like either with breakfast or before breakfast and watch some of the floats go by. Anything like that in your family?
Not really. It was like I think maybe it was on in the background occasionally, and now I'm sure you live a similar life where it's like I don't have cable, so like I don't even really. I guess you could look it up on YouTube or something like live. Maybe there's probably.
I'm sure they have a live stream on YouTube, right? Like,
and then I have a very vague memory of actually because I had like family in New Jersey growing up who were like very close to New York. I actually was there once, And I just remember being like a miserable experience, like vaguely. I was very young, but it was just like packed, and it was like a million people. So it's actually kind of
cold,
a negative
probably.
memory. It was cold, yeah.
It's
so
like
I mean, it's fun. I think it's cool, but it's not like a staple for my Thanksgiving memories. You know what I mean?
The story you just told reminds me of every person I've ever talked to who has gone to like New Year's Eve in Times Square. And they're just like, I hated it so much. It looks like so much fun, but like you're standing there, you're shoulder to shoulder with people. Everybody smells. It's freezing out. And like, we're just waiting and standing in the same place for like 12 hours and it sucks.
Yeah.
Only they don't even have parades. They have like an occasional like lip synced performance by a star of like whoever the new hotness is on the Billboard Hot 100 or whatever. I guess now it's whoever
increasingly a name I don't know.
Exactly. Now it's just whoever has like the hit song on TikTok, I guess.
Yeah.
But we're Mario in all of his 3D glory. Yes, in all of his 3D modeled glory is coming to the Thanksgiving Day Parade, the 99th Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. We got a quote here from none other than Devin Pritchard, the incoming president of Nintendo of America, saying,
"Can I guess? Hold on, let me guess.
Yes,
they're really excited about Mario being in the float."
Actually, they're really disappointed.
Oh,
they're like, man, we were hoping this wasn't going to happen.
We really tried to fight against this.
So our number came up. No, it said, having Mario join this iconic tradition is an incredible way to honor the 40th anniversary of Super Mario Brothers. Since he first emerged from a warp pipe, Mario has embodied our goal of bringing smiles and to faces all over the world. We are excited to Mario fans and all ages. Yes, you get the picture.
Okay. That's cool. I'm surprised. Surely Mario's been in there before, right?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, right? Yeah. God, has he? I think so. Right? Like, I mean, it was like the weird model.
Be subtle.
Right?
It'll be a subtle distinction, but I am also curious if he's going to look more like the movie, or 3D. Like the most, they have their sort of 3D model of Mario that's consistent across all their games. So I'm curious what it will look like.
Yeah, so here I see a model of it. It looks, just like Mario. It looks like the Mario from the games.
From the games, okay. Because you can tell the difference. The movie one looks a little different, like you can tell.
So according to, I'm not going to scroll all the way down because we're in a podcast and a live recording situation, but according to Google AI, which I don't trust entirely, but it says Mario appeared as a giant balloon in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade from 1989 to 1990. You're never going to guess what he was promoting. The Super Mario Brothers Super Show.
Oh, right. Okay.
It was not a game. It was the show. But this Mario, the Mario that's appearing in the 2025 Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, measures 51 feet and 2 inches long, 37 feet wide, and 43 feet and 8 inches tall. Clad in his classic blue overalls and signature red cap, striking a flying pose inspired by the game Super Mario Galaxy.
Oh, specifically Galaxy. So he must have his arms out, I guess. Probably.
Yeah, it's kind of like almost like Naruto run with his arms, but his legs are like straight back, almost like it's kind of like when he gets shot out of like the warp star.
Yeah, no, that's cool. It's a weird thing to be like, oh, I like that pose, but I like that pose. I love Mario Galaxy. I was playing 2 again recently because of the re-release, and it's just fun to launch from those stars and watch Mario fly through the air. Like it's a just good visual aesthetic, like I understand why it's going to be the next movie because it just looks so damn cool,
So it says that it airs Thursday, November 27th in the U.S. on NBC and stream on Peacock from 8:30 a.m. to 12 p.m. in all time zones. So you don't get to watch it live if you're not on the East Coast? What?
That's weird. All right.
I guess they don't want the West Coast to have to wake up at 5:30 if they care about it. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's still weird. So I guess people who still have cable and fans of The Office will be able to watch this Thanksgiving Day Parade. Because from what I can surmise, that's the only people who have Peacock. I guess WWE fans. I think WWE is on Peacock now.
I did get, and last Christmas they had a deal going where you could get a year of Peacock for like $20.
Okay.
And I like Poker Face. Poker Face is good.
It's a good song.
Yeah. Better show? Well, I don't know. Maybe not a better show. A show.
I don't know what the show even is.
It's Ryan Johnson's like murder mystery show. It's good. It really genuinely. It's very good. Poker Face.
All right.
Highly recommend.
All right, well, that's all the cleanup news that we have here, Kyle. We have some games. We have video games, believe it or not, to talk about here. And I guess let's start with Pokemon, because I already feel bad about being a little bit late on it, but given the circumstances and like realistically, there was nothing we could really do about it.
Yeah.
I very much like this game. I'm over 30 hours deep into Pokemon Legends ZA. Been running around this fictional Paris setting in the Pokemon universe, Lumio City, for a very long time. Boy, oh boy, were they right when they said you're going to be spending this entire game in Lumio City, because I was expecting there would be some sort of twist. But yeah, you're in Lumio City for there's like
kind of disappointing, frankly.
it's a lot of running around this city, to the point that I got to like about 15 hours deep, and I was like, yeah, I don't need to have the audio on for this game. I can listen to a podcast, and I'm so tired of the city theme by now, and it's a beautiful theme. Like, it's one of the best themes in Pokemon X and Y, the Lumio City theme. But like,
sure.
After hearing it for like, I mean, probably 26 of those 30 hours, you get real tired of it. But yeah, I mean, the game itself is great. Like, I think that the battle system, like, that's the big story here, right? Like, it's the real-time battle system that basically, like, you send out your Pokemon, and then you operate by, like, you hold the left trigger down to focus on the Pokemon you want to attack, and then you use one of the face buttons to select the move you want to use, and then all the moves operate on different cooldowns. So, like, if you want to use, like, Growl, I don't know what the exact cooldown is, but it's going to be like something like 5 seconds. Whereas if you want to use Hyper Beam, it's like a 20-second cooldown, because even in the turn-based games, that has to recharge, right? So it's really fun to like try to piece together like the best moves, like, because you're like, all right, well, I want Fire Blast on, like, for Charizard. However, like, that has like I want to say a 10-second cooldown, whereas Flamethrower may not do as much damage, but it only has like an 8-second cooldown. And so there's like kind of like this weighing that you don't have to really do in other Pokemon games. Like, I think the biggest indicator for like when you're in the turn-based games, like when you're swapping out moves, it's like, all right, well, Flamethrower is more accurate than Fire Blast, whereas Fire Blast kind of misses more often. But like this, it's like, yeah, like maybe there's like a delay when you hit it. Like, I think Hurricane, the flying type move, the Pokemon has to like kind of summon the tornado that comes out. So it, like, if you're fighting a faster Pokemon, it might move out of the way before that attack comes in. And that actually adds some fun wrinkles to it, and it makes you think about these moves in completely different ways. And you do end up using a lot of moves that you never used before, because it's like you're in a battle and you're like, well, the 2 super effective moves I have against this Pokemon are on cooldown, so I guess I'll just like chip away with like this non-super effective move. Whereas, like, you know, in the turn-based games, as long as you have the PP, I think it's called, which sounds funny to say, but I think that's what it's actually called.
Yeah, I think you're right.
You can just spam that move every single turn. So it is kind of cool. In
strategy that I would never take advantage of.
You definitely fall into a rhythm, and the thing that I think that like that is all great. The exploration is fine. I think that, like, yeah, running around the city, there's like lots of nooks and crannies you can investigate, and like there's like a Pokeball, like, you know how like items appear in Pokeballs on the map. Those are everywhere. It's not even like special, really. It's like, oh yeah, there's like just like laying up on the ledge, there's a Pokeball, and then there's another one over there, and then there's another one over there. There's also like these like weird like construction like scaffoldings all over the city, because I guess like the story is they're doing like this city like renovation to make it so it's like better for Pokemon and people to coexist. So within that lore, there's these like scaffoldings all over the place, and like, well, there's a construction company that's working on the city, but you can climb those, and like it's almost like platforming puzzles kind of, where it's like there's like little ramps and you have to get up there, and then eventually you unlock this move where you jump and like you grab your Rotom phone, and it's not like a glide, it's almost like it's called Rotom Glide, but it's like almost like a double jump, where it's like you fall off a ledge and then you press A real quick, and the Rotom will like go down and then swing you back up. So it's like almost like a weird like elongated jump that you can't do until you unlock it. but using that, you can actually, there's like these like platforming sequences where like, all right, I need to get over to there, but there's nowhere like for me to like drop down onto it. So you actually have to like do the rotom glide and then like position your character to like land right on there to get the item that's on top of there. So that's kind of fun, but it is like, okay, yeah, this is their first real attempt at this. Like, you know, we got gliding in Scarlet and Violet, but this was like the first time they've had like kind of like, all right, you have to use your platforming prowess to get over there. It's like, no, it's just like, I don't know. It doesn't feel like they really committed to it. It's just like, yeah, let's throw some of these opportunities in there. And then there's other times where it's like crucial to this, like to progressing the story that you need to do it. And it's like kind of frustrating.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah,
Do you feel like does it feel like a mainline Pokemon game, or does this feel like a spin-off?
It feels more like a mainline game than Legends Arceus did. Like Legends Arceus felt like a spin-off, even though it borrowed a lot of the same mechanics, but it was like, oh, this is like a completely different vibe. Honestly, last night, like when I was finishing up my playthrough, I was thinking in my head, like just because I've played so many Pokemon games, I was like, all right, there's going to be an Elite Four coming up here. And I was like, man, I kind of miss like traditional gym battles. And then I was like, wait a second, this is not a mainline game. I just like my brain was tricked into it because there's so many core tenets of a mainline game in this thing. Like I was thinking like, I wonder why they didn't call this like Gen 10. But then I was like, oh, well, there's like no new Pokemon. It's in a city that we've already visited. It's like a sequel to the story of X and Y.
Combat's completely different, right?
What was that?
Combat's completely different.
Yeah,
right?
Combat's completely different. So it's like there's enough differentiating factors that they could have branched out in using the Legends thing, but it just feels so different from Legends Arceus. It's like, what even is this like spin-off sub-franchise, you know? Like what, like I'm going to be very interested to see what the next Legends game looks like or plays like, because it almost feels like this is like their testing ground for the next generation of games, because Legends Arceus was like the much more open game than we had ever seen in a Pokemon franchise. And then what's the next mainline game? Later that year, we got Scarlet and Violet, which was the first like full open world Pokemon game.
Yeah.
This episode is brought to you by Battlefield 6. Battlefield 6 is the ultimate all-out warfare experience. Rip through the skies in aerial dogfights. Demolish your surroundings for a strategic advantage. Harness complete control over every action and movement using the kinesthetic combat system. Drop into multiplayer with your squad, or fight furiously as a member of the Dagger 1-3 squad in a gritty, adrenaline-fueled single-player campaign where you'll defend a world on the edge of collapse.
And then this, I'm like, all right, well, this adds like, you know, a single city setting. It adds kind of like
it does not feel as open generally.
Does not feel as open. I mean,
No?
the city itself is completely open. Like you're able to run around and go anywhere as long as you have like, there's certain areas where it's like, oh, there's like piles of sludge blocking it. You have to use like a really powerful water move to wash it away. Or like, oh, these like rocks. So you have to use like a fighting move to break them. So there are like some restrictions, but like, you know, it's more like, yeah, just run around the city, go where you need to go. But it's a lot of like, hey, here's the waypoint of where you need to go. You can fast travel there if you've unlocked like the travel points, or you can just run over there. There's the wild zones are fun to go to. And like, sometimes it's less like clear what you need to do in order to like find the Pokemon. I do like that, like when you go to the map and you highlight the wild zone, it has like a checklist of Pokemon that you have and have not caught. So like it'll say like, hey, these are the 7 Pokemon in there, and if you've ever encountered them in the game, they will be silhouetted. If you've never encountered them like through like a battle or another wild encounter, there'll be a question mark. And if you have them, they'll just show up as like, yeah, you've already caught this Pokemon. And so like you get research points for completing those wild zones 100%. And they're like significant boosts because like you're leveling up your research level as you go and like as you catch Pokemon. And as you reach each new level, it's usually TMs, but there's also some other like high level. That's how you get a Master Ball, is by completing the research tasks. And that's also how you get the last one in the research like progression is a shiny charm, which makes it so shiny Pokemon appear more frequently, which, you know, there's going to be some YouTubers and influencers who are going to be very, very excited about the shiny charm.
Yeah, my
as
daughter's big, and she's playing it. It's funny. I haven't touched this game, but I bought it and gave it to her right away because she's like weirdly. I don't know. I guess this is how it works for every Pokemon fan, but you just kind of come and go, right? Like she had her really hardcore Pokemon period when she was young, and now she just turned 14 and like randomly was like, you know what, I'm into Pokemon again, and just in time for this. And the main thing I'm hearing her talk about is shinies. Like that's the main thing that she's interested in and trying to find.
Multiple friends of mine have been like, "Oh my god, like have you found any shinies?" And I'm just like, I'm not really even trying to find shinies. Like
It's never really been my thing. I don't know. Yeah.
It was in Pokemon Go. That was the only time where I've been like, yeah, shinies are cool because like when you've caught like 150 Squirtles, of course, like you're going to be looking for something different in that experience. And so that little dopamine hit of like the Squirtle appearing in a different color and like the little like shiny indicator popping up was something fresh.
I had the itch in the back of my brain recently of like, what if I started playing Pokemon Go again? Like, what if I did it? What if I did it? right as winter is starting in Minnesota.
I re-downloaded it when I was in Paris because there was like a Pokemon Go stamp rally.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, maybe I should keep playing this. This is fun. And then like I ran into like one of the many free-to-play frustrations that they bake into the game to try to get you to spend money. And I was like, nope, deleting immediately. I haven't gone back since.
I'll always have fond memories of like the height of Pokemon Go. That was good. You and I, we would go. We even got together a couple times and went and caught Pokemon. That was fun.
It was fun. I miss those days. Like you see the memes, but I think it's pretty true. Like this is the closest we've ever come to achieving world peace.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Pokemon Go. We were all just like going into the streets. Doesn't matter what your background was. Doesn't matter what your beliefs are. And we were
really
catching
wild
Arcanines.
to just. I mean, it's funny to sort of get nostalgic about it because it wasn't that long ago. But like, just like jumping into a giant crowd in like the middle of St. Paul, you know, it's like, oh, we're all playing Pokemon. This is wild. You know?
Rice Park, baby.
Yeah, that's right. Hell yeah.
That was one of the best places on the planet to play Pokemon Go, like at the height. So
yeah,
I would
absolutely.
Just go there.
Let's do it, man. Let's get back into Pokemon Go.
Let's bring Pokemon Go back to the forefront. It's not even owned by Niantic anymore, which is crazy.
Right. I know.
Also, next year is the 10th anniversary of Pokemon Go, so I think you can be a little nostalgic.
Okay, I think it's time. Yeah, I'm downloading it.
It's retro.
Yeah.
But yeah, like overall, I'm pretty positive on Pokemon Legends ZA. Like, yes, I will fully acknowledge that like the presentation is nowhere near where it needs to be. Like the animations, just they're a little bit more expressive. There's some legitimately funny like physical humor that happens in this game, like some facial reactions. Like they've definitely done better with like NPCs, like, but it's so wild to play like another modern video game and then go play a Pokemon game and be like, what are they even doing over there? Like this is like the highest grossing entertainment franchise on the planet, and they can't like do voice acting or animate their characters and like it's like they do this thing all the time where it's like, here, I'm gonna hand you this thing, and they just hold out their empty hand and then you hold out your empty hand, and it just like it's like
yep
they hide any animation that isn't like
it always happens out of shot, right? Like that's so funny.
It's like, hey, let me do this for you, and then it's like the screen just goes black for a second, and then they reload all the character models, and like the characters in a different shirt or something. It's like, you couldn't have just shown them like walking. I don't know. There was a scene when I was playing last night where they had to like he was like, oh, let me open the secret door, and it showed like the wall. And there was a bookcase, and I'm like, oh, well, they're going to cut to black, and it's just going to show the bookcase like suddenly open. They actually showed the bookcase moving, and that's the level of like low expectations I have for Pokemon animations. I was like, whoa, the bookcase is actually moving. I'm surprised they did that.
That polygon, the square that you just in the animation, you just have to. Oh wow, I think I could animate a bookshelf opening, and I have no idea how that works.
But yeah, so that type of stuff is really frustrating.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, I mean, the story's predictable, and it's like I had kind of another realization of like, yeah, how many times can I realistically just like essentially build up the more or less exactly the same team? Like, yeah, there's little variations based on who your starters are and everything. Like, and like, I don't have Mewtwo in this one or like the legendary birds or anything, but it's like, yeah, my team almost always boils down to like Charizard, Dragonite, Gyarados, like Tyranitar, Lucario, and like other random Pokemon just thrown in, like whoever's like else I want to
Like
put on my
that's
team.
your main crew is kind of
Like
consistent.
almost
Yeah.
every game I have some variation of that team, and I was able to basically build that team in its entirety in this game. And it's like, man, like I always start with grand ambitions, like, oh, this time I'm going to use Talonflame as like one of my anchors, and then I get like to level 50 and it's like, oh, but I have a Dragonite now. I should really put the Dragonite in there. That's my
Yeah.
favorite Pokemon, so I should have him on my team. And then before you know it, it's like, yeah, I just created the exact same team I've always created. The only one this time is like, I was like, okay, I have Feraligatr on my team because he was my Totodile was my starter. So I was like, all right, well, I don't need Greninja. So I just have him on the bench basically. But
You know what it's time for, man, which they'll never ever ever do in a million years. But like the next like main line, you know, just the whole it's 150 Pokemon and they're 100% new. Right? Like that would be they can't do that. I would like they would be lunatics to do that, but like wouldn't that be wild if that was just like the next Pokemon is like, and guess what? You're not going to see a single returning Pokemon. Not even Pikachu is going to be in there.
That would be wild.
New,
I could see them saying that, but Pikachu is like the only one that's going to show up. Like I can't see them getting rid of their mascot.
I know, like it's crazy, but it would be honestly because I'm probably not going to play ZA if I'm being honest with myself, and like I don't know if I'll play the next main line. I mean, we'll see. You know, I could be wrong, but like if that were the announcement, it's like every single Pokemon that you will see in this game will be 100% new. I'd be like, all right, let me check this thing out. Let me dive in. I want to see I want to be 100% surprised by everything I see. But it's just like, I mean, the main attraction of Pokemon is seeing your favorite characters show up in the, you know what I mean? So like I they don't need to appeal to me, you know, like, but I would love that, or at least like 90% new. You know, like maybe that's the answer, right? Like you can get your Pikachus in there, you can get your Charmanders, but like mostly new, that'd be wild. That's what I want, I think.
By the way, speaking of returning characters, since this takes place 5 years after the events of X and Y, you do see a lot of characters that you remember from those games, and several characters where I'm like, who is this person? And then I looked up, I'm like, oh yeah, he's in X and Y. It's just because it's been more than 10 years? No, it's been like 13, 14 years since I played X and Y. So it's like, I'm like, am I supposed to know who this person is?
It's funny. That's actually like that's oddly an incentive for me. It's like you're kind of convincing me to almost check it out because X and Y is like my most played Pokemon individual entry, I think, because I reviewed it and it was like really exciting at the time. It was like it was a time that I like weirdly really got into it, and like working at Game Informer. I mean, I think you were there at the time. I'm not sure. I
joined right after X and Y.
Okay, and it was like weirdly a bunch of people on staff got into it. Like it was like I don't remember. I don't know what it was about that entry in particular that kind of like crossed the line, but like at least among the friends and people I worked with, like I remember trading Gengar like with Ben and stuff on our 3DS or DS. Was it DS? I don't even remember. 3DS to like get the evolutions and stuff, and like. And it was fun. Like so that like weirdly, like with the weird eternal, like immortal giant guy and stuff, that was like such an odd element of like Pokemon is like, so I'm kind of like, oh yeah, it would be kind of fun to see like what's going on like after the events of X and Y. I certainly would have to look up like a plot summary or something.
Well, good news for you, because the weird immortal giant guy is one of the main characters of this game.
Yes, I've seen people sharing screenshots of him, and I would like to learn more about him, I think.
Yeah, you get some lore on him.
All right. Maybe I should play ZA then.
It is I would say narrative, like a loose narrative sequel. Like there are things where it's like, oh yeah, remember 5 years ago when this happened and this character did this.
I don't.
But like, yeah, it does follow up some of the story threads, like from the fallout of like when you defeated Team Flare.
Okay.
So like some of that, like some of those characters will return. Some of the stuff that happened in that will be like, oh yeah, here's what happened in the aftermath of that thing happening.
That's fun. I like that. Why not?
So it does have a little bit of like that Kanto moment in Gold and Silver, where it's like, all right, let's see what the region has been up to in the time since we left it.
Yeah, it's funny
which
because I'm like, I
love.
want it all new. Give me all new. But then I'm like, you know what? I do kind of like in Tears of the Kingdom when you go back and you see all the people. And it's like, yeah, what's been going on? You know, I do like that.
Catch up with old friends.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the appeal for me for like we were talking about Hyrule Warriors earlier with like or Persona 5 Strikers. I was like, oh, cool. Let me go on like a road trip with these characters like a few months after the end of Persona 5. That sounds like super fun. And it was.
And it's good.
But yeah, I am overall positive on Pokemon Legends ZA. It is available now on Switch 2 and Switch. I've been playing on Switch 2, but I did actually look into like how the Switch 1 version performs. So I watched a YouTube channel called Open Surprise, and it had like side by side, like handheld mode of both versions. And here's the like TV mode of both versions. And they found basically that the loading from the main menu was 10 seconds longer on Switch 1. And then obviously the frame rate and resolution is better on the Switch 2 version. And I know after Scarlet and Violet, I was super worried about the Switch 1 version.
Oh, yeah. Same.
But it turns out that like, you know, there's the frame rate caps at 30 FPS on Switch 1. And it is a lot steadier than Scarlet and Violet. I will say that. Like I was watching it, whereas it's 60 frames per second on Switch 2. But there are still some of like those stutters where like if you run from like one area to the next, it does have like that little hitch. But it does.
We're not talking Scarlet and Violet like disaster, which I mean, I'm being a little too harsh on Scarlet and Violet on Switch 1, but it was rough, you know.
It was. It's a great game buried underneath a disaster of a technical performance. I will fully acknowledge that.
It's an interesting to watch again. Not to. I know I always talk about my daughter all the time, but she like even her, who doesn't pay very much attention to video games, knew Scarlet and Violet on Switch 1 was like bad, right? And she's like, I'm not going to play it. But she did recently because she's gotten back into Pokemon. I gave her my Switch 2 and she's basically played through Scarlet. And it's like just looking over her shoulder, I'm like, oh God, this is like worth waiting. Like I'm glad you're able to play it this way instead of having to like fight your way through the Switch 1 version, you know?
Yeah, and it's a very good game. Scarlet and Violet is one of the better mainline Pokemon games now that it runs well.
Yeah. Makes me optimistic for the next, because I'm assuming the next entry will sort of use the same structure, you know?
Or it'll just use the Legends ZA structure and completely throw everything out the window because everybody was so harsh on Scarlet and Violet. Who knows? But yeah, so if you have a Switch 1 and you're like thinking like, should I get Legends ZA or should I just wait till I upgrade to Switch 2? It seems like this is definitely the inferior version, but it does sound and look serviceable.
But it's okay. All right. That's cool. That's good. Good for them.
Definitely like more muddled textures. Frame rate is worse and less consistent and longer loading times, but it seems like overall it's fine.
Yeah.
Kyle, you also have a game to talk about, and it happens to be a remake of an absolute bona fide classic from the late 2000s, I think.
2009.
Mid to late 2000s? 2009. Okay, late 2000s. Plants vs. Zombies Replanted. Talk to me about this.
Yeah, so your Plants vs. You liked the original?
I remember, I think it was the first game I ever bought on Steam.
Oh, okay, cool.
Plants vs. Zombies.
I played it on, I think, primarily my, still pretty new at the time iPhone.
Okay.
Like I guess my iPhone was a couple years old at that point. And then I played the Xbox Live Arcade version a little bit. But yeah, I really love Plants vs. Zombies, and it is just like a travesty that a version of it has not been available on Switch at all. Like you know what I mean? Like you can still play the iPhone version. Naperville.
Like we have like the third person shooter game,
which those are fun
on Switch. I like those, but like it's so wild. Like this is one of the most like beloved games from that decade. Like I think a lot of people have forgotten how much like people adored Plants vs. Zombies back then, and to not have it ported in any way until now is insane.
Yeah, it's one of those games. Like I don't know about your experience, but like it's one of those games that for me is like even people that like just didn't really play video games, like friends of mine and stuff like that, like loved Plants vs. Zombies. Like it's just one of those games that crossed over for reasons that are hard to put your finger on. I don't really know why, but like, yeah. So I really love that original game. I just think it's like so fun and simple. And I don't even like tower defense. Like in general, I'm not a fan of that genre, but like Plants vs. Zombies simplifies it in such a way. And it's so charming and funny like that. It's just like, it's a good time. And like Replanted is a really solid remake. Like it's really faithful, sometimes to a fault, to the original. like sometimes like some of the UI stuff like just really feels dated, and like the way you select, even like building out your army of plants, like the way you select them is just kind of a little muddy, and sometimes I would like lose the cursor and stuff like that. And so like I had some it just kind of felt old sometimes in that way. But like the core gameplay of Plants vs Zombies, of just like making your way through those levels one by one, is just really great, and it holds up, and like the remake looks good. And like they redid, like it's my understanding is like it is a proper, you know, remake, in the sense that they kind of started from the ground up and they had to remake all the sprites and things like that, and it looks good. And then also like my favorite thing in the world of it, and it's like the reason I would never be able to go back to an old version of Plants vs Zombies, is if you click the left thumbstick, you can speed up the gameplay. So you can do like from like 1.52 up to 2.5. And when you start doing it 2.5, it even kind of like puts a red exclamation point of being like, heads up, this is going to be hard if you play this way, you know? But I love that, because it just makes the beginning, you know, when you're just waiting for sun, like you can just speed it up. And then like, because like usually the way I would play is I would speed it up really fast, just to get through the opening bits, and then kind of slow it down a little bit when it started getting challenging. And then when you are at the end of the level, where you have like your army more or less like, all right, this is what it's going to be for the rest of the game, and they just need to like let it play out, then you can speed it back up again. And I love that. And it like works really well, and it doesn't hitch at all when you speed things up. So yeah, it's really good. And for the, you know, for the All Things Nintendo podcast, I think the Switch 2 version is like the definitive version of the game. I played through it on Xbox Series X, not one. I don't know why I said that. Almost like the name of those consoles are bad. But
they could also use the headline help
right.
Slack channel.
What about Xbox 2? Who would have thought
that? Xbox Series X/S for
God.
Yeah.
And it played great on Xbox. I like playing it with a controller, and like although I did have to it defaulted the cursor speed to like incredibly slow. So like just keep it like it's just a setting. Like go into the menus and turn that cursor.
At least you can tweak that. Whereas like some games, if the cursor just moves slow, that's just how it works.
That's just how it is. Yeah. But the reason the Switch 2 version is like the best version is it, you know, it looks and plays just as good as, you know, like Xbox Series X and stuff, but it just lets you play the game in all the ways it was like designed to play of your choice, right? Like you could totally just play with the controller and it's fine. It's a totally valid way to play it. But like you could also play with the touchscreen and handheld, which is like primarily how it was designed, honestly, because it was like made to be a mobile game, and it was like, you know, dragging those things on the touchscreen on your iPhone was great. But then also because of the Joy-Con 2, you can play with a mouse, and it's like it's totally a valid. It's like it was like the way the game was designed was on PCs with mouse and touchscreen with iPhone. So that's kind of like the best, you know, I mean, arguably the best way to play. I still prefer a controller just because it's the most comfortable. But like the Switch 2, because those are just, you can just switch between them on the fly. Like you don't even have to go to a menu. You know, if you start using the touchscreen, if it works, if you flip the Joy-Con to the side, it works. You know, you don't have to. So like that is the best way to play Plants vs Zombies Replanted, and it's like it's still a great game. It like holds up. It's like super just balanced incredibly well and super fun to play, and like it has a great ending. Weirdly, is like a weird thing to call out. I won't spoil it if you haven't played it, but like I was watching credits and I was like, oh yeah, this is just making me happy. And yeah, so it's a good game. I gave it an 8 for Game Informer. It definitely has some 2009 sort of things to it. But yeah, if you've never played it or you just have a lot of nostalgia for it, it's great. It's a good game to play in 2025, and you know, and it holds up if you played it in the past. So yeah, I really like it. I'm just glad to have it on Switch. You know, it's a game I could see myself revisiting in a couple years. You know.
And I know there's multiplayer in this one, but is there any other like additional content? Do you remember?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff, like all the like mini games and things that were added for the various versions through the years. I think even like there was the DS version of the game maybe had the most unique like mini games. I think even some of those were brought over. I didn't play all of them because there's a lot. I could be wrong about that. I spoke to them for a preview a couple months ago, and I feel like they talked about that. But yeah, and then when you beat it, there's a lot of like ways to like really challenging new modes with the idea of like, you know, there's a lot of people who like really love this game and have played it dozens of times. This version will have new modes that are really hard to play. Like there's a version where, you know, you basically get one life to try to play through the whole game. know, which is kind of cool. And the way the game works is it just dumps you into the next level without even like pausing. Which is like, it really keeps the flow going. And then there's stuff where it's like, you know, Crazy Dave will choose your army for you, and he will intentionally choose things that are challenging and stuff like that. So there's like a lot of modes like that. But I had the most fun of just playing through the campaign again. You know, just that standard campaign is still super fun. So yeah, I liked it.
Yeah, that game rules. It was for a while, like, you know, one of my favorite games at that time. You know, it's one of like the kind of purest like tower defense, but also like absolutely like evolves it in so many ways for its time. Obviously now it's been replicated
never
so
gets
many times.
too complicated, which I like.
Yeah, that was PopCap at the peak, I feel like. After that it was kind of like, all right, well, EA got them, and now they're making free to play mobile games that are Plants. That was what Plants vs Zombies 2 was. Like, I was actually really into PvZ 2 because I liked Plants vs Zombies so much that I played Plants vs Zombies 2 on my phone. And it was like a free to play, like you've got to like buy energy and all this nonsense.
What a bummer.
Like,
I was excited for it.
A little bit.
It's actually like a little bit of Game Informer trivia. I think if you go to Game Informer's YouTube channel and you list things by popular, like, you know how you can list like what are the most popular? Yeah, the Plants vs Zombies 2 trailer posted 12 years ago is our second most popular video on Game Informer's YouTube channel, because I think we had an exclusive on the trailer at the time. It was before my time. But
what's the most popular?
Yeah. Oh, the most popular is Leo's looking back at Rainbow Six's Siege's bizarre reveal trailer, which I don't know if you've ever watched that, but it's hilarious. I'm glad that it is the one that is the most popular, because it is a fantastic video if you've never watched it. Even if you don't care about Rainbow Six at all, watch that video. It's hilarious. Leo Vader is hilarious, man.
Turns out he knows what he's doing when he gets a microphone and a camera.
Yeah, there's a reason he's got his own YouTube channel with fantastic essays on it now. Yeah.
One of my favorite people on YouTube, Leo Vader. Also a very good person.
Yeah.
Enjoy the Leo
As a
Vader.
person, too.
Yeah. But Plants vs. Zombies Replanted, out now on Switch, Switch 2, and every other platform. I'm excited for it. I have it on my Switch 2, and I'm really looking forward to diving in now.
It's one that I like, truly, I think will just stay on my hard drive. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just probably not going to delete it ever.
Oh,
you know?
Absolutely. It's like Balatro. Like, I don't think I'm ever going to delete that from my consoles or my phone, even for that matter.
Did my card go through?
Oh no.
Your small business depends on its internet. So switch to Verizon Business. And you could get LTE business internet starting at $39 a month when paired with select business mobile plans. That's unlimited data for unlimited business.
There we go.
Get the internet you need at the price you want. Verizon Business. Starting price for LTE business internet, 25 megabits per second, unlimited data plan with select Verizon Business smartphone plan savings. Terms apply.
Yeah.
While we're here, speaking of remakes of games, I want to talk a little bit about Yooka-Replaylee, which just released across everything. And I've only put a little bit of time into it, but I reviewed the original Yooka-Laylee back when it came out in 2017. And I thought it was overall good, but it definitely was like, okay, yeah, they just took like, it's the Platonic, for people who aren't aware, is basically like it was founded by a bunch of older Rare folks. So the people who worked on Donkey Kong Country and Banjo-Kazooie, and they left Rare either shortly after or a long time after Microsoft acquired them. And it was like, let's just found our own studio and keep on doing what we love. And that they did a Banjo-Kazooie successor called Yooka-Laylee, and it really was like, this is a faithful Banjo-Kazooie successor. Like, it plays like Banjo-Kazooie, it looks like Banjo-Kazooie. The characters have the little like mumble sounds that they make when they
a lot of eyeballs
everywhere. They love the eyeballs. But yeah, like, it felt like if you like Banjo-Kazooie, you'll like this, but man, did it show its age, even though it was like a new game. Like that formula, the collectathon, definitely did not feel super great in 2017, but like, for what it was, it was good. So I have always said I like the Impossible Lair, which is Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair, which is like their version of Donkey Kong Country. It's less of a Banjo-Kazooie successor. It's a Donkey Kong Country successor. I think that formula has aged so much better.
It's like a 2D, right? Yeah.
It's 2D.
I played a little bit of that. I did enjoy it. Yeah.
It's super good. Like, I think it's a very good 2D platformer. But this one is just basically a revamp of almost everything this game does. So it doubles the number of collectibles, where I was like, that sounds terrible, because I remember how overwhelming the collectibles were in the original. But there's also a new adventurer's notebook, which helps you find them. Like you can find like waypoints and like say like, okay, there's something over here, and then it'll guide you to like missing collectibles that you're having. So that's good. They overhauled the gameplay, so like there's new moves that Yooka and Laylee have, and there's some of their other moves have been tweaked. They redid the soundtrack, so like the soundtrack is fantastic, and it's it's Grant Kirkhope and David Wise, and there's another person who I forget who it was, but it's all like orchestrated now, or orchestral.
It wasn't before?
No, it was like kind of
cool.
like less instrumentation.
Yeah.
Like ukulele.
All right.
Hence the name.
I see.
Yeah, Grant Kirkhope was all about the ukulele in this soundtrack. So
I wonder where he got that inspiration.
But yeah, it's good. Like it plays better than it did. It's still like that kind of like, okay, well, you really have to love the outdated Banjo-Kazooie like formula to really appreciate this. Like if you're like, oh, I just want like a 3D platformer and I want it like a modernized version of an older thing, maybe this is it. But like if you want like, oh, I want to play, like I loved Astrobot, I want to play a game like that, I don't know if this is really going to be for you.
Mm-hmm.
But if you've been like itching to play ukulele, this is definitely the version you should play. And they also added like storybook aesthetic like cutscenes now to like better tell the story. But yeah, I don't know.
It actually sounds like pretty significant overhaul, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of assumed it was just like almost like an HD version, right? I mean, I know that's not, doesn't make sense to say that when the game came out in high definition, but like, you know what I mean, right? Like,
yeah,
it's
like
just
a remastered for current consoles,
yeah.
and it is that too. But but
it's probably got like
better
frame rate and stuff like that.
Better
too,
frame rate, better resolution. The camera is better. You have a lot of the moves unlocked from the start, so it's not like, all right, I can only jump and like that's it, and then I have to unlock the roll, and then I have to unlock the glide, which I believe you had to do in the original. Now you have all those moves, like the basic traversal moves are unlocked from the start, which is super nice. So yeah, like I said, I've only put a couple hours into it just to see how different it is, but it's an improvement, I would say, over the original. And if you haven't played it, I think it is an overall good game. So Yooka-Replaylee, available now on Switch and everything else. So
Switch
check
2?
it out. I don't know if I'm assuming there's a Switch 2 version.
I mean, yeah, because that's always the question now these days, because it's like, obviously you can play it on Switch 1, but Brian, you and I have even gotten games sent to us for sort of coverage, and like they'll send us the Switch 1 code, and they'll be like, by the way, like, play this on Switch 1, not Switch 2, because this is a Switch 1 game, which is always kind of an odd request.
And I will say no.
Yeah,
I'm not going to do that.
Honestly, yeah. I mean,
I'm not dusting out. I'm not pulling out the Switch 1 out of the drawer that I threw.
I know. I sold a cut. Like I had a few because like my family members all had one, and I basically sold all but one to like just to have for library's sake. But anyway.
But there is a Switch 2 version of Yooka-Replaylee.
Cool, awesome, yeah, like a dedicated Switch 2 version. Yeah. Which, speaking of which, Plants vs Zombies. Similarly, so you can use the mouse. There is a dedicated Switch 2 version, which is nice.
Yeah. So hopefully, listening to this episode, you learned about a game that you want to play, whether it's a Pokemon game that you 100% knew about, or maybe Plants vs Zombies or Yooka-Replaylee that you maybe didn't have on your radar, because a million games have released in the last 2 weeks, it feels like. And Kyle and I are just so unbelievably tired.
Yeah.
But it's all in good fun. Kyle, thank you so much for joining me for this second segment of the All Things Nintendo podcast.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for having me.
And thank you so much, everyone, for listening. As I mentioned at the top of the show, my Patreon and the associated Discord server are the best ways to get any questions or comments in. But you can also email me at brian@allthingsnintendo.com, or hit me up on Blue Sky or Instagram at Brian P. Shea. Kyle, tell people where they can find you online.
Blue Sky. Hilliard.com on Blue Sky.
All right. Well, that is our show for this week. Thank you again for listening. Take care. We'll see you next time. Hey everyone, real quick before I get out of here, thank you so much for listening to this episode of All Things Nintendo. I truly appreciate it. I just want to give an extra special shout out to the $10 patrons of the podcast. Alex Stadnick, Andy Junkins, Ben Richland, Chaps My Ass, Derek Sigmund, Dusty Beeman, Ian T. Clark, Jason Thompson, Jawar Hello, Johnny Five, Jose Villalobos, Joshua DeProy, Casey Radio Man, Cody Gibson, Creeper207, Paul at Drunk on Mako, Pratable, Rob McCann, Bobby Mac 265, Robert Sosa, Roberto Nieves, Roger Reichert, Russell Sayer, Smithy Poo, Zane Sink, and Zek 3 Sword Sama. Thank you so much for your continued support. I would not be able to continue doing this show week after week without you.
Every hero strikes out on their adventure for a different reason.
To prove myself worthy of my mother's praise.
To write my own story and discover who I really am.
To prove to my family that I am more than they believe me to be.
To revive the god that has chosen me.
But when the fragile balance of the world is in jeopardy, and sinister forces move in the darkness, heroes will be tested, pushed to their limits and beyond. And it will be left to them to determine if they are up to the task. There is a darkness rising. Will they be able to overcome the challenges and meet this evil head-on?
For my god.
For my story.
For my freedom.
For the world.
To restore the balance. Modified Role Season 2, The Chronicles of Erin, a D&D 5e actual play podcast. New season, new characters, new story. Find us on all the usual podcasting apps or at modifiedrole.com.